Hello guys, it is Kruse from Unconventional Videos, and it is day 2, and I might sound a little tired because I am. So here we go. Let's get right into this. I have to talk a little quiet because my family is asleep and I am in my room. So what I'm gonna do is really quickly just open my template, and we will go ahead and delete all that. First thing you're going to want to do is take a layer, drag it below all this, take this layer, press shift, backspace, and you're going to make it black. Alright, so now you got that, you're going to click place, and you're going to put your phase logo or whatever logo you did in Cinema 4D in. So the first thing we're going to want to do is take our rectangular marquee tool, delete that. And that's just a thing with my Lightroom that I use to render. So we're going to go ahead and make this bigger. We're going to match it to the size of that. So now, today's going to be all about the color correction. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to make a new group. So go ahead and Control G, I believe. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and group something. So we're going to click this, name this Custom CC. Alright, so now we got our CC, so we're going to drag that above the phase logo. And right here, we can add effects. But I like to use this because it's a lot easier. So the first thing we're going to do is add brightness and contrast. So we're going to make this a relatively darker CC. So we want the contrast, so we want the brightness at about, we'll go -30, and the contrast at about 23. Alright, so there's our first part to our CC. We're going to go ahead and add another adjustment, and this one is going to be this one's going to be the gradient. So we're going to go ahead and click our gradient. We should have this preset right here. We're going to click in the middle, and we're going to add this to a grayish, such like that. We're going to drag this black up, like so. We'll drag the gray up. We'll make it kind of more evenly cut out. There we go. Alright. So now we got this. We're going to overlay. Now, as you can see, it does make an effect. It makes it top darker, which is the kind of effect that we're going for. You can also use screen or linear dodge, but those look terrible. So now that we got that in, we're going to go ahead and add some curves. And now here's where it gets tricky. You're going to take this about right there. You're going to drag that down and that up, so it creates a nice contrast on the thing. Now we're going to add another gradient. Now there's going to be lots of gradients because this is mainly what we use. So we're going to go ahead and add our preset in there. Make this another, like such gray. Whoops, messed up again. Make sure you click the black. Gonna have that. We'll drag that up a little bit, and okay. So now we're going to have it like so, overlay it, and we'll mess around with the opacity. So we'll put the opacity about there, and on our curves, take the opacity, put it down. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and add some hue and saturation. So since we are going for a darker color correction, we want 0 and the saturation to be at about, whoa, I want the saturation to be at about, nope, at about -17, about -20, and we want the lightness to be -17. Alright, So now we'll go ahead and add some levels and just go ahead and drag these out. Play with these a little bit. I don't have any custom settings, so all you have to do is play with that. Now we're done with our CC for now, so click on the phase, go above it, and select your paintbrush. And what we are going to do is make this white, and we're going to zoom in holding Control Alt and scrolling up on the mouse wheel, and we'll make this a bit smaller, and we're just going to lighten up some areas. Alright, so once you finish lightening up some areas, click on that layer and overlay. So now as you can see, it's kind of giving it some of its color back, or some of its brightness back, which is good if you like colorful backgrounds, but that's not what we're going for. And we're going to change the opacity down to about 50. So that looks good right there. Now we're going to go back into our CC, and we are going to add another gradient. This gradient is going to be like this. We're going to click alright, okay, and we're going to overlay. Now change the opacity to about 22. And we'll go ahead, we'll add some exposure, which makes it brighter or darker, so we're going for a darker color. And if you want that nice look like that, just put this to about 0.0040. So that'll give it a nice effect, like screen effect to it. And leave the gamma where it is. Whoops. Alright, so now we got that. Now we're going to go ahead and add a photo filter. And since we're going for a nice dark background, we're going to want to select about right there. And we'll change the density to about there. Alright, we're going to go ahead and add another brightness contrast. Put the brightness up, take the contrast up just a little bit. Excuse me, and then we'll go ahead and add some another curves. Now this time we're going to make it a little crazy. So as you can see, that just made it quite a lot darker. But if we change it there, it's too light. So we're going to want to try to find a balance of lightness and darkness. Now, that, I would say right about there looks pretty good. And we'll go ahead and add something else. I'm going to add a gradient map. Change that to there, there, and we'll overlay it. Oh, crud, I just messed up. Control Z. Alright. So, in this gradient map, we can go ahead and delete that. We're going to add a gradient map. And we are going to make it this. Oh, shoot. We need to be lighter, so we need about there. Alright, so now that we got that, we are pretty much ready for the... Oh no, wait, we are not. We still need to add some vibrance. So this doesn't really do anything but change the saturation and the vibrance. It just gives it a nice clean color. Alright, so now that we got our CC done, we're going to go ahead and click filter. Make sure you have your phase logo selected. Going to go ahead and Control J, make a copy, and you're going to click filter, blur, Gaussian blur. So with this Gaussian blur, you're gonna blur it just a little bit. So I would say about we'll go 0.6 on this. So it'll still have a little blur, but it won't be that too over heavy. So now, as you can see, if you click this, it just gives it a little blurry effect and doesn't make it as sharp. Alright, so now we're going to Control J, make another copy of the original phase. So Control J that, filter, and depending on your style, we're going to click on filter gallery, and depending on what style you like, personally I like ocean ripple, so I will change the ripple size down to about 1 and the ripple magnitude to about 1. So now, as you can see, it gives it a nice ripple effect. And we'll just change the opacity down to about there. This. Alright, we'll drag that under there. That goes under. Okay. So now we got kind of a liquidy mess there. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the liquidy one, make sure that it is the one that looks like the one that you added the filter gallery to, Control J that, and we're going to go into filter, and we're going to blur that. So click Gaussian blur. This time we'll blur it about 1. So now it gives it that nice effect. We'll change the opacity down just a little bit, so now as you can see, take that off and it's sharper. Alright, so now we'll go ahead and Control J that again, and we'll click filter, and we're going to liquefy it. So we just want to liquefy it just a little bit, not like this. we want to change the brush pressure down to about 11. And then we're just going to add some ripples in there. It all depends. This is all personal preference. I prefer ripples like so. And then go ahead and make another copy of the original phase logo. And this time we are just going to add nothing. That'll just be there for reference. So go ahead and merge these. Right click and merge layers. So now you got your phase logo. And that is all for this tutorial, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like rating. And